I want to thank you all for being with us. Before we make any comments, utter any words, I want to look to the Book of Psalms for some guidance, and I'm going to chant Psalm 23 first in the Hebrew and then offer the translation in English. Mizmor leDavid, Adonai ro'i lo echsar, bino tesheyar bitzeni al mei menuchot yinahaleini. Nafshi shovev yancheni b'maglehi tzedek leman shemo. Gam ki yelech b'kitzal mavet lo yirara ki ata imadi. Shiftecha umishantecha hema yinachamuni. Taroch lefanai shulchan neged tzorrai. Dishanta v'shemen roshi kosi revaya. Ach tov v'chesed yirdefuni kol yemei chayai. V'shavti b'veit Adonai leorech yamim. Psalm of David. Adonai is my shepherd, I shall not want, giving me repose in green meadows, leading me beside the still waters to revive my spirit, guiding me on the right path, for that is God's essence. Though I walk through a valley of the shadow of death, I fear no harm, for you are with me. Your staff and your rod comfort me. You prepare a banquet for me in the presence of my foes. You anoint my head with oil. My cup overflows. Surely goodness and kindness shall be my portion all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of Adonai forever. You know, friends, sometimes as a rabbi, there are moments that are really difficult to be in, to participate. I don't want you to feel sorry for me. I feel very privileged to be a rabbi, and I would say 99.7% of the time it's an amazing privilege. But this moment is very hard, and what's strange for me, and I'm trying to do the math, which is silly, I didn't know Ruth for very long, and I didn't know her that well, but she hit me right in the kishkas and right in the heart. And I feel enormously blessed to have known her, and therefore, this moment brings with it a great deal of sadness, because she was somebody worth knowing, having in your life. So we're going to pay tribute to Ruth, Rachel bat Rachmiel v'Chaya Sarah, who was born to Sam and Sophie Latinsky here in Winnipeg on October 15th, 1932. And she left this world on June 25th, corresponding to the 26th of Sivan. She was preceded in death by her husband Joe, her parents Sam and Sophie, and her brother Ed Latinsky. We offer our sincere condolences to her children, Adrian and Jack, Robert and Perla, and to Jeff, to her grandchildren, Joshua and Elisa, Ariel, Noah, and Carmi, and to, I think, the treasures. The grandchildren are definitely treasures, but even more special are the great-grandchildren, Sloan, Maya, and Jonah. And at this time, you're going to hear from people who knew Ruth really well. We'll hear first from Adrian, then from Ron and Jeff, and then from her Einaklach, from her grandchildren, Josh and Elisa.
My mother would say that she had a blessed life, even though the last couple of years had not been easy for her with her declining health. My mom always had a positive outlook in life and kept pushing herself forward every day. She loved to make plans for special occasions and events. She called it her schema dream plans. My mother was an elegant, independent woman, strong-willed, outgoing, with a strong work ethic and an intellectual and curious mind. She had a loving, generous, and caring nature. She loved her family with all her heart. Although most of the family lived afar in Edmonton and Toronto, Mom was always part of our lives. She loved her children unconditionally. And she loved our spouses, Jack, her son-in-law, and Perla, her second daughter. Her grandchildren, Josh, Elisa, Ariel, Noah, and Carmi, were the center of her life, and she had so much nachas from their accomplishments. As the family grew and the grandchildren married, she adored their spouses and partners, Sarah, Soren, Lisi, and Renee. Her greatest joys was the birth of her great-grandchildren in the last few years, Sloan, Maya, and Jonah. I found a folder of Mom's personal memoirs that she wrote over the years. While Ron and I were sitting at Mom's bedside and waiting for my brother Jeff to arrive, we read out loud her stories in the hope that she could hear our voices. Mom wrote that she grew up in the north end of Winnipeg. She recounted stories as a small child of running around the neighborhood as a free spirit full of mischief and adventure. She started to work at a Retzky shoe store at the age of 12. She met my dad Joe at the age of 19 and fell instantly in love, and they married a couple of years later. Together, they worked hard at their store, West Home Food Supermarket, working long hours every day and on weekends. My childhood memories include my two brothers, Ron, Jeff, and me, running around the aisles and sneaking chocolate bars. Later, they expanded the business to include the old butcher shop. In between working long hours with my dad, my mom found time to act in Jewish plays and in the chorus of the Rainbow Stage musical My Fair Lady, joined a Yiddish choir, found the time to attend and study at the University of Winnipeg, and graduated with her Bachelor of Arts degree in 1978. She was so proud of this accomplishment. My mom decided that she wanted to teach Yiddish and applied for a teaching certificate and worked as a Yiddish teacher at IL Parrott School in Toronto for a couple of years. My mom was so full of life and energy. In between work, raising 3 children, and her extra activities, my parents loved to entertain. There were many pool and barbecue parties and card games at their home at 71 Vanier Drive. My mom loved to sing and dance, and when the music played, she couldn't resist getting up to sing and dance for her friends. My parents were wonderful dancers together on the dance floor. The high holidays and Passover were a highlight with many specially prepared delicacies, prepared carefully by my parents. The living and dining rooms are filled to capacity with tables and chairs, filling up the space with my mom's parents, Sam and Sophie Latinsky, our Bubi Ita and Zadie Akel from my dad's side in Toronto, extended family and other invited guests. My parents were very generous and believed in tzedakah, the Jewish word for philanthropy and charity, in order to make the world a better place. They always gave generously to the Jewish community and supported causes in Israel. They welcomed and befriended into their home a Russian immigrant family and helped them settle in Winnipeg. They sponsored a young Polish boy named Wacek to stay with them for a few months, helping him find work so he could send money home to his family. He was the great-grandson of the Polish family who rescued my father's family in Poland during World War II, saving them from the fires of the Holocaust. Years later, my parents made the trip to Poland to visit this family. My parents started a tzedakah fund with our families to raise money every year to send to this Polish family, never forgetting their bravery, and we have continued this charity into the next generation. My parents loved to travel. They went on many cruises, visited Israel, Mexico, and Argentina, where they met my father's long-lost cousin, had many visits to Toronto to visit family and friends. They never missed a family simcha. Later, after they retired from work, my parents vacationed in Hallandale, Florida every winter in their condo and enjoyed the Floridian sunshine. In 2013, my father passed away and my mother lost her soulmate. She was a strong, independent woman and continued to enjoy her winter vacations in Florida and once in Palm Springs until she was no longer able to travel. She always felt young at heart, no matter the obstacle. My mother had a tragedy in her life when her beloved brother Ed passed away from a tragic accident. Her mother became very ill and passed away in 1985, and her father passed away in 1999. She always kept in contact with her sister-in-law Ada Latinsky in Winnipeg and her sister-in-law Marion and brother-in-law Sam in Toronto, her many nieces and nephews and great-nieces and nephews who all adored her, other extended family and dear friends from all over the country and the USA. She never liked to miss a phone call. She was lovingly known as Baba Ruthie and Auntie Ruthie. She became the family's matriarch and the heart and soul of our family. My mother's first language was Yiddish, and she loved all things Yiddish and Jewish, including Jewish music and books about the Holocaust. She was an avid reader and was reading until the last week before she passed away in hospital. When I came to visit her, I often found her sitting up in a chair, reading a novel and the Jewish Post, her favorite newspaper. During better times, she loved to attend the Eitz Chaim synagogue for the Saturday morning and high holiday services for spiritual nourishment until she could no longer drive. My mom was not a religious person, but she loved to hear the Hebrew prayers and songs and found spiritual comfort being part of her synagogue community. During her last few years, when mobility was becoming increasingly more difficult for my mom, she found solace in the internet and learned how to use email to keep in contact with her family and friends. Mom would spend her time listening to podcasts and Zoom lectures, researching interesting facts about countries, religion, culture, science, philosophy, and history. She would take copious notes in an effort to learn and understand the world around her. She had such a curious mind. We will miss not having my mom at our weekly family Zoom Shabbat gatherings. My mother had a network of dear lifelong friends, many who are no longer here. Your love and support is greatly appreciated. You know who you are. On Friday, June 24th, when we knew Mom's time was coming to an end, I sat at her bedside and was playing music on my iPad. Rabbi Rose dropped in to see my mom in the morning, and he made the Misha Be'erach prayer, a Jewish blessing for the sick. In the late afternoon, while I was playing her favorite klezmer music, she became alert, started smiling, and was moving one of her shoulders to the music. It was remarkable to see the power that music had on my mother and to have this special moment with her. On Saturday, June 25th, we knew that Mom was approaching the end of life. In the afternoon, I played on my iPad various Jewish songs for her. Mom took her last breath peacefully to a Russian Jewish folk song called Tuba Lalaika. I am grateful that my mom was able to live independently for as long as she did, thanks to the compassionate support of her home care workers. My mother gave me life, and I remained at her side until the end of her life. Mom, you had a life well lived. Rest in peace. You and Dad will always be in our hearts. We love you.
Every Shabbat, we sit around the table, friends and family, and we light the candles, say the blessings over the wine, and we recite a very special blessing, Eshet Chayil, a woman of valor. And it's to the women around the table and to all women, but today I think it's appropriate that we say it for my mom. A woman of valor, seek her out, for she is to be valued above rubies. Her husband trusts her, and they cannot fail to prosper. All the days of her life, she is good to them. She opens her hands to those in need and offers her help to the poor, the destitute, the lonely, the needy. Adorned with strength and dignity, she looks to the future with cheerful trust. Her speech is wise, and the law of kindness is on her lips. Her husband, her children, her grandchildren, her great-grandchildren, her sister-in-laws, brother-in-laws, nieces, and nephews all rise up and call her blessed. The entire community likewise praises her. Many women have done well, but you surpass them all. Charm is deceptive and beauty short-lived. But a woman loyal to family, to community, to Israel, to Yiddishkeit, has truly earned praise. We give her honor for her life's work of 89 years. Her life proclaims her praise.
My dad, Joe, had a beautiful nickname for Mom, Razel. It warms my heart just saying it, Razel. Everybody loves Razel. I'm going to steal something off the CBC called Quirks and Quarks. We're going to start with the quirks of Mom, Ruth Riesenbach. Food. Oh my God, don't get me started. Her obsession for food. It was the stuff made of legends, not just for herself, but for anyone who came over. So here's my mom. Did you eat something? Me. Yes, Mom, I ate. Not hungry. And I had a big lunch. Mom. Take something from my freezer. Take it home. Take some fruit. You need fruit. Me. No thanks, Mom. I'm good, thank you. Mom. You gotta eat. You have to eat. You have no idea how unhealthy it is to go without eating. Then the speeches would concur after that. And the research of health. Okay, Mom, I got it. Okay, hurry up. I'll take something. I gotta go. Okay, Mom, hang on. I'll get a bag. Which leads me to her next quirk. Ruth's obsession with plastic bags. She had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and stuffed them into a little, to the top in a large bag hanging in the closet, right? And this is her go-to bag. Everything you took out of her apartment had to go in a bag. And once it was bagged, you were not leaving that apartment before she tied it up, not once, not twice, 3 times in knots, making it extremely hard to unravel. But God forbid anything should spill or fall out, even if you walked a block or 2 from her apartment. But wait, there's more. This is a huge quirk of Mom. She had to label all her jars and containers. She was well stocked with this clear masking tape, which she still has in her apartment. It should go in the Smithsonian because she loved that tape for instant food labeling. And it didn't matter if, the jars were clear, crystal clear, you could see right through. She absolutely had to write soup on the tape to make it 200% sure you knew it was soup. Now the quirks. I narrowed it down from 252 to about 1. I call it telephone call waiting drama. We've all been defensive victims of this game that she couldn't miss one call. Not one. Ever. Right? It was all about the call waiting. So here's how it kind of worked. I'll give you a very short Reader's Digest on this. Winnipeg's on line 1. Click, beep. Hold on. I have another call. Click. Hello. Hello. Always the 2 hellos. Always 2. Hello, Toronto. Hold on. I have Winnipeg on the other line. Click. Hello. Hello. Oh, they hung up. Back to line 2. Or back to line 1. Now, for that unsuspecting person on line 2 who couldn't wait and, had to hang up, don't worry, you're getting a call back. And Ruth was always good at the callbacks. Or at very least leaving a voicemail message to call her back. Rest assured, she would always, always, always call you back. So that was the one thing you can always rely on no matter what. She was very good at keeping you in touch with things, so God bless Razel. In closing, I pulled a couple of lines off a song. It's a legendary American artist and poet, and the song is beautiful. It's called The Dance. And here's my favorite part in this, and it fits Mom and Baba Ruthie very well. And now I'm glad I didn't know the way it all would end, the way it all would go. Our lives are better left to chance. I could have missed the pain, but I would have had to miss the dance. Mom, Ruthie, Razel, your pain is finally over. Now all you have is just one job. Dance, sing, laugh, share your life story in that grand party room in the sky. And boy, did she love to party. Rest in peace, Mom.
When I think about my childhood, my Baba Ruthie is one of the first things that come to my mind. I've never felt as loved and cherished as I did with my Baba Ruthie. Baba Ruthie was many things to me, but she was uniquely my friend, not something many grandchildren can say about a grandparent. We shared our experiences together while playing cards, shopping, swimming, looking through old pictures, or eating lunch. Baba Ruthie was a model for me, teaching me confidence, independence, encouraging me to be adventurous and to try new things. I remember when I was 14, Baba suggested I try this new thing called Pilates. I thought it was the weirdest thing I'd ever heard, and there was no way I was going to be seen doing Pilates. And of course now it's one of the most well-known forms of exercise. Baba always knew before anyone else did. Baba Ruthie taught me not to care what people thought of me, but to do things that made me happy and to follow my instincts. When I was struggling to find direction in school, Baba encouraged me to take a chance and leave the program I was in because I wasn't happy. Because of her, I'm now in a career I love. Baba Ruthie taught me to hold my head high and be confident in my skin. Not something that came easy for an awkward 13-year-old girl, but she always told me I was beautiful and perfect. She believed I was the best dancer in Winnipeg, not even close, and encouraged me to try out for major dance productions in Canada. I never made the cut, but to her I was always a star. Baba Ruthie was a modern, confident woman, ahead of her time. Looking back, I think Baba wanted to make sure I had the opportunities she couldn't have as a young woman, to travel, to get an education, and have success. She was too ahead of her time. I'm grateful to have been raised in an environment of strong and independent women, and I am who I am today because of Baba Ruthie. I will keep her legacy alive in the way I live my life and the way I raise my daughter.
There was Mamala, sometimes Boichelach, other times Tatala, but most of the time we were the Kinderlach. These were some of the endearing names Baba called us. When I think back to memories of Baba, I think of the 5-course Friday night Shabbat dinners, main course always served with a gigantic bowl of salad and golden Caesar dressing. I think of the never-ending Pesach table on Vanier, extending the full length of the house, seating 25 people and their 50 corresponding matzah balls. I think of ricotta cheese on bagels in the Florida condo kitchen. I think of milestone anniversary parties with balloons surrounding the colorful fruit platter. I think of countless birthday parties with genie's cake. And how can we forget the ear-jarring electric meat carving knife for slicing brisket at high holiday celebrations? 2 things were constant: freshly baked honey cake, and always being surrounded by her beloved grandchildren. Baba had a fondness for times past, but also embraced modern ways and current affairs. Baba was just as likely to listen to her Yiddish folk music on the old cassette stereo player, tell captivating stories of her younger days through vintage black and white photos, cut clippings of hundreds of random recipes from newspapers and file them in her scrapbook never to be seen again, stream her favorite Netflix series, research the origins and evolutions of the universe on the internet, forward emails about political satire, and then join a family Zoom call, all in one day. Though it was sometimes a struggle to help Baba find the unmute button on video calls, the volume of love and care for her grandchildren was always turned way up high. Baba was always interested in what I was up to and where I was going. But whenever I told Baba about my next outdoor adventure or my next sporting event, she would always be worried. She would say, "But Joshie, it's too much. You should know better. You're overdoing it. You're going to hurt yourself. Come on, son. It's not good for you." I would then respond with, "But Baba, would you rather I just stay home and never do anything?" Her answer would be a resounding yes. I now understand that Baba wasn't trying to hold me back. It was her caring and protective nature, and she wanted to know that I was safe, dry, and uninjured. Baba's memory will always live on. Now I find myself calling my 1-year-old son Boychik, the same sort of endearing name Baba called me. I sometimes catch myself in the act saying those words, as if time is suddenly suspended into one condensed singular memory of my Baba. A smile quickly spreads across my face.
Beautiful. Thank you all so much. I know I've mentioned this before, but I want the grandkids to know that sometime into the pandemic, I offered a course on Jewish meditation, and your Baba showed up. And I remember asking people why were they there on Zoom, and your Baba's response was, "It sounded interesting. I haven't really tried it before, and I wanted to experience something new." And what a profound message. I want to just end with a teaching about Judaism, and it fits with what Ron, who I mistakenly referred to as Robert earlier, so I don't know if you caught that, but put it on the list. You'll forgive me. But you talked about your parents, how they rolled their own. Pardon the experience. But how they were independent, they were generous of heart, and they rolled with the punches and all the other things we can say, but they were also willing to step up and create things in the moment for themselves, for their family, for others. So the general consensus is in Judaism teaches that intent is the least essential of the requirements in order to fulfill a mitzvah, except in rare circumstances where it is too easy to perform the action without intention, such as the hearing of the shofar. The point is, when push comes to shove, what we learn is that action counts. It is easy to see the reasons for this. Thinking about charity is not even remotely the same as giving charity. An essential teaching of Judaism is act. Make the world a better place through your own work, because things won't fix themselves. Helping yourself, helping others, and offering assistance in any way you can are the fundamental pillars of Judaism. And I think your mom just lived that out. That's what she exemplified and offered to everyone. So this is her legacy, and may we continue to be inspired by her passion for life, a life of independence, a life of worthiness, of dignity, humility, a life of joy, but a life of pursuing meaning. And we thank God for all the blessings which you, Adonai, have bestowed upon us in the form of Rezel Bat Rachmiel V'Chaya Sarah. Tehei Nishmata Tzura B'Tzura Chayim. May her soul be bound up in the bond of eternal life. And before we continue with the remaining rituals, I just want to make a few announcements. A meal of consolation that the family will be gathering, and I want to make sure I get this right, at the R&R restaurant on 2142 McPhillips. And now, in parentheses, I say the old Perkins. Okay, now everybody knows what I'm talking about. Family will be sitting a private shiva. Speaking of tzedakah, I know for Joe and Ruth, tzedakah was such a critical part of who they were. And so I encourage everyone to consider giving to a particular cause. A family would encourage you to think about giving to the Holocaust Education Program, which is at the Jewish Heritage Center of Western Canada, or the Jewish Child and Family Services.
This is known as a chesed shel emet, the purest form of kindness that we can offer our loved one. In this case, someone who lived a lifetime. So the custom is, and you do it in whatever way feels right for you, but I'll offer what I've been doing during the pandemic. Encouraging people to do this 3 times. Hold it this initial time upside down. It's a way to let God know we're disappointed with God's choice, but we understand that God has some plan in mind that we acquiesce and do it in this way. And I'll suggest you do it using the ordinary breath in this way. And then we're careful to place the shovel down and allow the next person to have their participate in this mitzvah, be in that sacred space. There's nothing that stops us from having multiple people do this at the same time, but I'll have family come forward, and then at a certain point I'll ask that we stop. Let me make this on the
Microphone here. What I'm going to do is ask all of you who want to participate to start, and then I'll stop and ask that we cease with that for just a moment or two as I recite the El Malei Rachmim, the memorial prayer, and then the mourner's Kaddish. And if you want to place additional earth after we're done with the formal part of the service, you're welcome to do so. So please go ahead. Folks are welcome to use the shovels on the other side if you'd like.
Yeah, but they gotta be.
So perhaps we'll have a few more people place earth on the casket and then we'll stop. And again, if anybody wants to come back afterwards, you're welcome to do so. So if I can have everyone's attention, I'm going to recite the El Malei Rachmim, the memorial prayer, and again that'll be followed by the recitation of the mourner's Kaddish. El Malei Rachamim Ashochein V'Amromim Hamtzeh Menucha Nechona Tachat Kanfei Shechina B'ma'alot Kedoshim Utorim Kezora Kiyam Mazhirim Et Nishmat Reizel Bat Rachmiel V'Chaya Sara Shelcha Le'olama B'Gan Eden Tehei Menuchata Hana Balarachamim Hastireha B'Setek Nafecha Le'olamim Utzror B'Tzror Chaim Et Nishmata Adonai Hu Nachlata V'Tanuach B'Shalom Al Mishkava V'Nomar Amen. Mourner's Kaddish.
Yiskadal v'yiskadal shemei rabah le'almad v'yibrach cherutei u'mamlich malchutei v'chayei v'chol beit Yisrael ba'agala u'vizman kari v'ru amen. Yehei shmei rabah mevorach le'alam almei almaya Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpo'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei d'kudusha b'rilchu Ela mikol v'yirchata v'yirshirata v'nechemata v'amiran v'alma v'amru amen. Yehei shlomo rabba min shemaya v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen.
So I wanted to say to the three of you, but really to everyone, these words of comfort that are traditionally recited or offered to those who are in mourning. We say to you, Hamakom yinachem etchem betoch shar avlei Tzion v'Yerushalayim. May God continue to grant you comfort amongst all the mourners, Zion, Jerusalem, and throughout the entire world. Thank you for the honor of being here in this moment, and thank you for allowing me into that space on Friday. As I said to you a few times, I had no idea where things stood at that point with your mom, but I can see that her gracious manner has been passed on to her children, and so thank you. And may you be comforted knowing that your mom touched so many people in many different ways. So thank you, everyone. For those who would like to place additional earth on the casket, please go ahead and do so. And we wish everyone all the best. We should only see each other at Simchas.
He's so grateful. So every time we have a simcha, we say something new, we have it. You know, this. We send him, so he's so grateful. He's very grateful. And he's healed. So you get to, yeah.
I just really use my excuse though.
Yes. No, I'm not. She asked me to bring the foods to 5:30. She may be home from her.
I don't know. I just told her that we wouldn't be going to. Maybe they would be.
Okay.
Yeah.
You disappointed us. I told Shaary you would put half of the pile in yourself. And rightly so. Might I add, rightly said she was about to yell at you.
No, I don't.
I might say.
Oh, I have no idea. It's gonna- Sunglasses, tall. Come over here. Careful.
Take care.
Yeah, you too. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
How are you?
Yeah.
Yeah. I gotta find out if she's
Yeah, 5 sounds great. Yeah. Just doing a little confirmation. Yeah. Okay, thanks again for doing it.
9619.
I have a pen in the car.
89619. Anyway, I'll call you.
Yeah.
I'll either.
No, Jared, how are you?
Yeah.
Well, this is the R&R. Remember what used to be on the Phillips and Leland? Actually, between Jefferson and somewhere. I'll bring you in. Okay.